أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Tonight we're going to go over our 11th lesson in our series on learning to read the Quran. And tonight we're going to practice writing words with short vowels. Because up until now you've learned the alphabet, you've learned the letters, their names, the pronunciation of the letters. You've learned the uppercase letters, the lowercase letters, and you've had two lessons on the short vowels. So now you've also learned how to combine letters into words. So now we're going to combine letters and we're going to write short vowels on them to make words. So we're going to jump right into words. So here we have, as you can see in the blue here, two separate letters. We have a ha and we have waw. On top of the ha is a dhamma. So that when we have the dhamma on the ha, we read this as hu. And on top of the waw, we have a fatha, so we read this as wa. So now we're going to combine these two. So if you remember the way that we combine them, this ha is already in the form that it should be when it's the beginning of a word, and the waw does not change. So we connect the two together and we have the word hu wa. So you see, you read these letters one at a time. First the ha with the dhamma, hu, and then the waw with the fatha, wa. So this is the word hu wa, huwa. So that's your first word, mashallah. So now, just as before, we're going to practice writing them ourselves. So of course, one of the best ways to help yourself practice writing the words, because so far you've just practiced writing letters, now we need to practice writing words. You trace the whole word. So we start here and we start tracing. And if you remember, we bring this down all the way around and then through, and then without stopping, since the waw was connected, we write the waw. And then we put the dhamma and the fatha on it. So that's our trace. So now it's our turn to write our own words. So now we're going to write the word ourselves. So we start by writing the ha, and then without stopping, because the waw was connected, we're going to connect the waw. Now we put the dhamma on top of the ha and the fatha on top of the waw. Now you have your word huwa. So now let's move on to our next word. So this one is similar. Here we have the letter ha with the kasra, which will be read as he. Then we have the letter ya with the fatha, which will be pronounced as ya. So now again, we write this ha, we'll trace it through. We write the ha, and then without stopping, we're going to write the ya connected to it, and the ya has two dots. Then we put the kasra under the ha and the fatha on top of the ya. So now this is the word he, ya. Here we have he, and this is ya. So now we say without stopping, hiya. Now, of course, we're going to write the word ourselves. You traced it, you know how to write it. Now you're going to write it yourself. So we start by writing the ha, as we've practiced many times, of course. And then since the ya is connected, without stopping, we're going to write out the ya. And then we put the two dots for the ya, the kasra under the ha, the fatha on top of the ya. And we wrote our word, hiya. MashaAllah. Now let's move on to our next word. And now we have a three-letter word. This is a kaf with dhamma, which is read as ko. This is ta with kasra, which is read as te. And this is ba with fatha, which is read as ba. Now, if you remember, when we write the lowercase form of the kaf, we bend the top portion instead of keeping it straight. So this right here is the kaf. This is the kaf here, just like this. Then this is this right here with the two dots is the lowercase ta. And then the ba, because it's the last letter, it does not change. If you remember, the last letter of a word does not change. Or if a letter has a space after it, then it stays in its capital form. So we trace the ba with its dot. Now we trace the dhamma on top of the kaf, the kasra under the ta, and the fatha on top of the ba. And there you have your word traced, kutiba. Now you're going to write the word yourself. So we start with the kaf. Now remember, you bend the top portion of the kaf like this, and then you draw its base. Now we're going to write the lowercase ta with its 2 dots, and then the uppercase ba, because it's the last letter, it stays the same. The ba with its 1 dot. Now what does the kaf have on top of it? It has a dhamma. What does the ta have? It has a kasra underneath. And what does the ba have? It has a fatha on top. So this is our word ku te ba. MashaAllah. Let's move to our next word. And our next word also has 3 letters. This is ta with fatha, so this is read as ta. This is ba with kasra, so this is read as bi. This is ayn with fatha, so this is read as a. So here we have our lowercase ta with fatha. This is our lowercase ba with kasra. And here, if you remember, the ayn has 3 forms. One at the beginning of a word, one in the middle, one in the end. And this is the form of the ayn when it's the last letter of a word. So now we're going to trace it. This is our ta with 2 dots. Then our ba with 1 dot. And then the end form of the ayn. And we put a fatha on the ta, put a kasra under the ba, and put a fatha on top of the ta, on top of the ayn. So we have the word ta bi a. Now we're going to write it ourselves. So we get our trusty pen, and now we write the lowercase ta with its 2 dots, the lowercase ba with its 1 dot, and then the end form of the ayn. And now our vowel markings, the short vowels, the fatha on the ta, kasra under the ba, and fatha on the ayn. So now we have the word ta bi a, tabi'a. On to the next word. And here we have 3 letters, all of them have fatha. Jim with fatha is pronounced ja, ayn with fatha is pronounced a, and lam with fatha is pronounced la. So here we have our lowercase jim, and then this is the form of the ayn when it's in the middle of a word. It's connected on both sides, the right and the left, and then the lam is the last letter, so it stays in its full form. So now let's trace it. We'll trace the lowercase jim, and the jim, of course, has a dot underneath. Then the middle form of the ayn, and then we trace the lam in its capital form. And then we put a fatha on the jim, fatha on the ayn, fatha on the lam, and this is our word ja'ala. 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 And now it's your turn to write the word yourself. So we get our pen. We're going to write the lowercase jim, which is just the top portion with the 1 dot. Then the middle form of the ayn, and then the capital lam. Then we put a fatha on the jim, fatha on the ayn, fatha on the lam, and we have our word ja'ala. Ja'ala. MashaAllah. On to our next word. This word is composed of 3 letters again. This is dhal with fatha, ha with fatha, and ba with fatha. So here we have the dha in its full form. Why? Because dhal does not connect to a letter on its left, so there has to be a space after it. So there's a space here. Then we write the ha in the form that it is at the beginning of a word, and then the ba stays uppercase because it's the last letter. So now we trace our word. Trace our dhal with its 1 dot. Trace our ha, and then we trace the uppercase ba with its 1 dot. We trace the fatha on top of the dhal, trace the fatha on the ha, and trace the fatha on the ba. MashaAllah. That's your practice. Now it's time to write it ourselves. We're going to write the dhal. Now, should we connect the dhal with the ha? No, because the dhal does not connect on its left. We have to leave a space here. So we write the dhal with its dot. Now we're going to write the ha without connecting it to the dhal. That's our ha. And now we're going to write the uppercase ba because it's the last letter. And we put a fatha on dhal, fatha on ha, fatha on ba. So this is our word. The ha ba. Dhahaba. Our next word also has 3 letters. And then once again, they all have fatha. Noon with fatha is read as na. Sad with fatha is read as sa. Ra with fatha is read as ra. So now we have the lowercase noon here, the lowercase sad, and the ra at the end. Of course, it doesn't change. So the noon with fatha is na, sad with fatha is sa, ra with fatha is ra. So this is pronounced nasara, nasara, nasara. Now we're going to trace it, and then we're going to write it ourselves. So we trace the lowercase noon with its fatha, trace the sad with its small extension, and then trace the ra. Then we trace the fatha on noon, fatha on sad, and fatha on ra. Now we write the word ourselves. We start with the lowercase noon with 1 dot, the lowercase sad, and then ra. We put fatha on noon, fatha on sad, fatha on ra. So we have our word nasara, mashallah. So do you think the words are going to get bigger? They will eventually, maybe in our next lesson. So here we have, and this will be our last word for tonight. Tomorrow we'll take on some more words and some words that have some more letters. We'll see how they connect and how we read them with the short vowel. So we have noon with dhamma. This is read as no. This is sad with kasra. This is read as si. This is ra with fatha. This is read as ra. So here we have the lowercase noon, lowercase sad, and lowercase ra. The noon has dhamma, sad has kasra, ra has fatha. So we read this as no si ra. No si ra. So now we trace it to get some practice. We trace our lowercase noon with a dot, our lowercase sad, and our ra. And then we trace the dhamma on the noon, we trace the kasra under the sad, and we trace the fatha on the ra. So now you're going to write the word yourself, just as before. So we write our lowercase noon with the 1 dot. We write our lowercase sad, and then we write our ra connected to the extension of the sad. Now this time the noon has a dhamma. The sad has a kasra, and the ra has a fatha. So now we have our word no si ra. So that'll be our last example for this lesson. And that'll be the end of our lesson for tonight.